What's up, guys? Silver here with part 1 of Halo Reach LASO. We are doing this 5 years after MCC originally came out. So 5 years later, did you think you'd be back here with another full campaign of LASO? I didn't think so. But here we are, again, making guides for LASO. This is the first mission, Winter Contingency. We're just flying around on some Falcons here to start the mission. Nice and relaxing, you know, ease our way into it. And we'll talk about some skulls here to start off. The Black Eye Skull, you need to melee enemies to get your shield back. We all know that from all the other LASOs. The good thing about this one is it starts filling up right away, right when you smack somebody, so you don't have to wait to kill them to get your shield back, like you do in Halo 2, for instance. Right when you smack somebody, whether they die or not, you get your shield back, or not instantly like in Halo 1, but it starts filling up at least right when you smack them. And we also have the Blind Skull, which is one of the most annoying. Your heads-up display and weapon do not appear on screen. As you can see, we can't see our ammo, we can't see our health, we can't see what gun we have, but there are some ways around some of these things. If you get on a turret, get in some vehicles, or some of the armor abilities that you use, it will send your camera into a third-person point of view instead of first-person, and then you could see what weapon you have out, or you could see your shield strength. If you have all staticky electricity going all over your body, that means your shields are totally depleted. You could also tell what gun you have in your hands by the sound it makes when you pull it out. You could also tell from your shadow if you look at the ground. You could also tell from the motion your camera makes when you melee. There's unique kind of jerking motions that your camera makes when you melee. But even better, in Reach, you could actually just hold the back button, and that will allow you to see what weapon you have out and what armor ability you have currently employed. And of course, for the targeting reticle, before you go into LASO, go into a custom game, pick up a sniper rifle, and then take a small square piece of Scotch tape and just put it right over your reticle, and then you could trace the reticle onto the Scotch tape with a marker. And then that way, when you go into LASO, you'll have a makeshift targeting reticle, which makes shooting way more easy. Just a quick note on that is the fact that it is very useful, but it does have some limitations, mainly when you're on a turret or in a vehicle. Targeting reticles for those particular vehicles and turrets don't match up with what you normally have as a targeting reticle in regards to where it is on your screen. So anyways, we're getting into it right now. We're going to follow this path. We're going to sprint up here and hide behind this kind of scaffolding type material. Not very thick walls, but they work well enough. And we're just going to regain our sprint, and then we're going to sprint down towards the river over here. Just hang to the right. This is a very safe, very reliable path. We're going to cross the bridge here over the river, and we're just going to make our way to a second river. And we'll go upstream at that point. But we cross the first stream, go to the second one, and then go up the river. You could see I had my back button held down there so I could see what weapon and armor ability I had. And here we are at the second stream. And we are going to make our way upstream at this point, like I said. And this is always a super reliable, super easy way to get past these first few encounters. It's a pretty easy way to get into Reach LASO because the mission itself is one of the easier ones. So it's a nice little warm-up. But we're going to follow this path and jump up here onto this roof. And then we're going to jump up onto this roof. And we are going to run over here as fast as we can. And then we're going to kind of crouch and hide in the corner here by this rock. And we're going to wait for a few seconds so the elites can move up. And then that way we could have a clear, straight shot at getting to the next section. So after a few seconds, we're going to jump up over the rocks and sprint. And the elites don't follow you past this point. So once you drop down, you're totally safe. And we could make our way to the Spade over here, this civilian vehicle. And it's not, you know, an armored military vehicle or anything, so no guns or anything on it, but it does make the mission go by a lot faster. There's a health pack on the ground there if you need it, so I grabbed that because I needed it. And you could wait for Carter and George if you would like. You don't need to. I just do it out of habit for no reason, really. They don't really help too much because we're just going to drive past a bunch of enemies. But follow this path. There's, I believe, 3 encounters up here at this point. You could either take a left or a right up here, and it's basically a circular map at this point. So we're just going to drive past 2 of the 3 encounters, and then we're actually going to fight the final encounter that we get to. So we just passed that series of buildings back there. That is one of the encounters we just totally skipped. Now we're just cutting through another encounter, and we're totally safe here. Just driving past, and we'll go to the 3rd and final encounter where we actually have to do something. But it's going to be pretty easy up here too, so don't worry. And we're going to, basically, we're actually going to drive past it first because the Spirit dropship is pretty hefty in regards to its dropship gun, whatever it is. It's pretty devastating, so we want to just avoid taking as much damage as possible. So I'm just going to drive past it and wait for that spirit to leave. So now he's leaving. And Carter and George just don't know what to do. They're stuck between wanting to get back in my vehicle and going and fighting these coveys. So I drive up here and I try to splatter as many people as I can, usually only a couple. And I'm going to exchange my assault rifle with the DMR of one of these guys. So these guys, these 3 Marines, one of them has a DMR, 2 of them have an AR. I want the DMR, so I'll grab that, and then I'll pick up the DMR ammo on the ground. You want to do that in that order. So grab his DMR, and then pick up the DMR ammo on the ground, and then make your way behind the structure following this path. But right here, I'm just showing you that you can look at your shadow on the ground to see what weapons you have out. Not totally necessary because, like I mentioned, you could just use the back button, but just another way to find out what you have out and available to shoot. So you can see right here, I'm just holding the back button for a better, easier way of doing that. Options are good, you know. So we're up here on the roof now, and it's a great spot to pick off all these grunts. And there's a handful of skirmishers. By handful, I mean only like 1 or 2 usually. So not many at all, really. Mostly grunts. There's going to be a couple elites as well. Looks like everyone has been dropped off. There are additional dropships that come, but it looks like that occurred while I was looking at my shadow. So we don't have to worry about taking fire from those dropships. So we're just going to lay into these guys. We have a Magnum and a DMR at this point. I'm using my Magnum. You have a lot of Magnum ammo to start the mission, so you should have still a lot because we didn't really use any until this point. So we're just taking these guys out. The grunts take 2 shots to the faceplate. The grunt ultras, these white grunts, they have basically the helmet, the face and head armor that they don't have in other video games. And by video games, I mean Halo games. That guy went flying. But so it takes 2 shots to take that helmet off, and then 1 more shot to headshot the grunt. So 3 is your ideal situation, 3 shots to take down a grunt. But basically, I'm just picking off these grunts at this point, and then we'll deal with the elites in a little bit. And also, you want to take out the skirmishers, because those guys could start shooting at you with the needler rifle that they have. But I'll start talking about the skulls again. Catch, enemies throw and drop more grenades, so that's pretty basic. Cowbell, acceleration from explosions is increased. Famine, weapons dropped by AI have half the ammo they normally would. That's not a great one. Don't like it. Don't like any of them, really. But the next one we have on the list is Fog, and this one is basically irrelevant due to the Blind Skull. The Blind Skull takes away everything on your heads-up display, and Fog takes away your motion tracker, so they kind of overlap a little bit and makes Fog just totally irrelevant in regards to LASO. The next one is Grunt Birthday Party, and this one is also irrelevant in regards to difficulty. This just makes headshotting grunts leads to glorious celebrations with confetti and children cheering. It's great. Iron, this is a big one. Dying solo restarts the level. Dying on solo. If you're in co-op, you just get sent back to your last checkpoint if one of you dies. That's just kind of annoying. But there's a workaround for the Iron Skull. But we'll talk about that in a little bit. Right now, we've killed all of the grunts and the skirmishers, so it's just the elites left. So I just wrapped up around, follow that path. It's pretty easy. You don't have to do anything special. There's no... It seems like it should be off limits, but for some reason, there's not a barrier there. But we're going to go behind here, and this is a great spot to take cover if the elites see you. You could always just hide behind here and wait for them to stop paying attention to you. And it seems like the one of the elites was taken down by my friendlies down here, which is great, and it does happen sometimes. It will happen eventually if you just let it happen, but we're just going to accelerate things, just speed things up by walking up behind these elites when they're distracted and meleeing them, and then we're done. So that's what we would have done if there were 2 of them. We just would have backsmacked 2 of them. But one thing I should have emphasized is you don't actually have to kill anybody at this point. We just partook in a big-ish battle. We picked off a bunch of grunts and stuff from on top of the roof, and then we assassinated an elite. You don't have to do any of that. You can just hide on the roof and wait for Noble Team to take them out for you. It will take a while. Sometimes it's faster than others. But anyway, we want to make sure that we have full health when we go to the next section. Not for anything in particular, really, but why not have full health when we can? So I'm going to grab a plasma pistol, and what I was doing there was overcharge plasma pistoling the wall, and I was right up against it. So the splash damage from that burst actually carries over onto me because I'm right next to the wall, and it depletes my shields and some of my health, and that way I could grab a health pack. Because if you have full health, you cannot grab a health pack, even if your shields are all the way down. So by taking down my shield and my health a little bit, I was able to grab the health pack, and then that brings up my shield all the way and brings up my health all the way. So really, we didn't have to kill anybody at this point. We started the mission by running past a bunch of people, then we got in that vehicle, we drove past a bunch of people, and then at that last battle we just had, like I mentioned, you don't have to do anything. You just hide up behind the building on top of the roof or behind a tree or something, and Noble Team will take out everybody for you. So really, we don't have to do anything, and this upcoming section, we also don't have to do anything. I'll show you where it could hide out, and Noble Team will, again, just take out everybody that's necessary for the mission to progress. And we will talk about the Iron Skull up ahead there. But right now, let's talk about the others real quick. I Would Have Been Your Daddy, or IWHBYD. Rare dialogue becomes more common. Mythic, enemies have increased health. Thunderstorm upgrades the ranks of most enemies. Tough Luck, enemies go berserk and dive out of the way of grenades and vehicles and stuff and never flee. Follow this path while I'm chatting. It's a very easy path. There's nothing really, there's no risk of getting killed or anything when you follow this path. And then we're just going to sprint in here where Cat is and just hide in the corner here. You could literally just stand right here in this corner. There's DMR right here and some health on the ground there and a nade. But you could just hide in this corner right here and just wait for a while, and Noble Team will take out all of the enemies necessary, and then they'll retreat back into the bunker here with you, and the door will close and you could go to the next part of the mission. So you could just speed things up by helping them out by picking off some enemies like I am right now. But I'm actually going to die right here very shortly, and I'm going to show you how to get around the Iron Skull. So once that happens, we'll talk more about it. But the only other skull I haven't talked about is Tilt, and that means enemy resistances and weaknesses are increased. So if you didn't know, plasma weapons are really good against shielded enemies, so they're good against taking the shields down of elites and brutes if they have shields, and also they're good at cutting through jackal shields as well. But the other side of that is human weapons are bad at getting through shielding. So those weaknesses and resistances are even more exaggerated with the Tilt Skull on. So basically, human weapons, since they're bad at getting through shields normally, they're even worse at getting through shields with the Tilt Skull on. So basically, you don't want to use a human weapon for the most part against a shielded enemy in LASO. So we're coming up upon my death here. Basically, I'm just like, hey, let me just help out Noble Team, trying to speed things up. This is my first rodeo here on LASO, and I'm about to get stuck by an elite because I'm sticking my head out too far. And I thought that was a Marine on the ground. I thought it was like Carter for a second. I'm like, how did he die? He's supposed to be invincible. But here we are. I'm sticking my head out too far. There's going to be an elite that comes up on my right and sticks me in a hot second. Where's he at? We're waiting for him. And what you want, there he goes. So what you want to do right when you die, you just hit start, go to save and quit, hit yes. It'll kick you out to, here's a loading screen here real quick. Very lovely, Halo Master Chief Collection. Then you'll come to the lobby, and you just want to select the playlist, LASO playlist, whatever it says. Then select resume. Don't hit restart playlist. That would not be great, especially if you're on the last mission. Unfortunately, we're only on the first mission. So it wouldn't be that bad if we hit that accidentally, but hit resume. It will then lead you to, do you want to enable scoring or time or whatever, and then just select whatever. Hit start, and then it will bring you to this loading screen. I sped this part up, otherwise it's unedited, so you know it works. Here we are back where we were, and that was our last checkpoint. So checkpoints don't pop up on screen letting you know that you got a checkpoint, but you do still get them throughout the mission. You just don't see them because of the blind skull. But what I did was I hid in the corner like I said you should. If you want to be super safe, just hide in that corner I was talking about. That's what I did. I skipped ahead like 3 or 4 minutes. It's not that long. It seems like a while when you're just sitting there, but it's not that long if you think about it. 3 or 4 minutes for Noble Team to do that whole section for you. And then you just spawn in here. I like to set off those exploding gas tanks on the right side of the corridor here. And then I exchange my assault rifle for a DMR on the wall. And we're going to take out these guys as they come towards us. You could throw a couple nades. You spawn with 2 frag grenades, so use those if you need to, especially if the enemies are coming towards your position. And I like to actually let them come towards my position a little bit, because then I can more easily grab a plasma pistol, which I'm going to use to take out this elite up here. There are a few options to take out this elite, but you don't want him to retreat, because then he's harder to deal with later. So what we're going to do is take him out here, and there's a few options to do that. One is when you're done with the jackals and grunts, you could just lay into him with the DMR. There's a bunch of DMR ammo, but like I was talking about with the tilt skull, the DMR, since it's a human weapon, is not good at getting through his shielding. So you're going to have to basically lay into him with not all, but most of your DMR ammo and land most of your shots in order to tear through those shields. Another way you could get through and kill this elite is to just grab a plasma pistol, but then immediately run back to your original position. You want to do that because if you move up and stay up, that elite will just run to the final section, and then he'll be harder to kill in there. So you want to grab a plasma pistol if you can, which is why I let the enemies kind of move forward a little bit so that plasma pistol could get closer to me, and then I could grab it, run back here, and then we're just going to pepper him from afar. Just shoot him a little bit. He'll sidestep every now and then, just, reposition and shoot more. It'll take a while. It seems like it's not being effective, but it is. Just kind of, you got to commit to it. But also you want to make sure that you're shooting this plasma pistol with these tiny shots. You don't want to actually use an overcharged plasma pistol burst like you would think you would want to do normally. If you were playing like regular legendary, you would want to use a plasma pistol overcharged burst to take down a shield all in one burst. But that doesn't happen on LASO. So you just want to shoot from afar. And actually by doing this, you have a ton more shots when you shoot these tiny shots. If you use an overcharged plasma pistol burst, you only have like 2-3 shots with that before your ammo is totally out. But you have a ton of shots from plasma pistols on the ground, even with the famine skull on, when you just shoot those tiny shots. So we are going to move forward now. We took out that elite, and we're just going to tear into these jackals. You're actually in a very safe position right here. They can't really shoot at you. They don't like to shoot your head. They like to shoot your chest, basically. So if your chest is obscured, they'll just shoot at that, and they won't actually hit you. So I kind of just have my head popping up over the geometry here, so I could get shots on them, but they can't really get too many shots on me. So that's a good position to be in, especially with the jackals who have shields. Not fair. We're just hiding behind our own little makeshift shield there. But we're going to move forward here, and you want to be careful in this part because they throw a lot of nades, the grunts. So you want to make sure you're kind of cautious in this part because you could just move up, and then all of a sudden 3 grunts come around the corner and start shooting at you and throw a nade. So you want to be cautious here, especially since we're at the end. But another way you could take out the elite that we initially fought in this section is you could wait for George to move forward, and George will be able to take down the shield in one way or another, whether it's just shooting him or eventually closing the gap and meleeing him, or a combination of the two, and then you just pot shot him from afar with your DMR. It rhymed. Just a one headshot kill to make it easy. You will have to wait for that to happen, though. Or another option is you could wait for George to move towards the elite and then move past the elite, getting the elite to turn around and face George, and then his back will be to you. So by that point, you could just move forward and melee the elite in the back, but that is more risky, obviously. You're closing the gap. The elite could turn around and see you and just melee you or shoot you. Either way, he's got a concussion rifle, so he's pretty dangerous. So not recommended to get too close to him. If you're not sure, you could melee him and kill him off. But we're moving forward here. There's 4 grunts, and none of them have those helmets on, so they're just one headshot each. And we got all 4. We're going to jump on this pipe. We're going to jump onto the wall here, and we're going to run across the wall to the back over here, and we're going to hit the wall, jump up on this shelf, whatever it is, and we're just going to hide here. And there you can see that little thing at head level. You want to crouch to kind of wedge yourself even further in here to be even more hidden. A lot of times the Sword Elite will go follow the path he just took and immediately go fight George. Sometimes he hangs back and takes some coaxing to come out. You got to shoot at him a little bit to convince him to come out. Another thing he likes to do is get stuck halfway in between. And at that point you could try to melee him in the back for the one-hit kill. And one option is you could go up behind him right now and just melee him because his back is to us, obviously. Another option would be to continue peppering him with the plasma pistol that I thought I had. Apparently I have a needler that I picked up at one point. I meant to exchange it for a fresh plasma pistol, but I guess I accidentally picked up a needler instead. But either way, you could just grab one of the plasma pistols off the ground from one of these grunts and just shoot him from far away while he's distracted by George. Finish him off with a headshot, or if you want to get really close and try to smack him in the back, that's your prerogative, I suppose. But the safer one, obviously, being shooting them from afar with the plasma pistol and then finishing them off with a headshot. But anyway, we went into that room and we activated that computer, which normally is lit up by a nav point. But you kind of have to know where the nav points are because there are no nav points with the blind skull, which is kind of a unique thing, I think, to reach. There's no nav points, so if you don't know where you're going, you don't know what you need to activate, you're going to have a tough time, especially on New Alexandria. But that's a tease for the New Alexandria LASO level. Not great in regards to its randomness and the very heavy reliance on nav points. But anyway, that is the first of 9 missions on LASO Winter Contingency in the books. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next installment where we tackle Oni Sword Base. Thanks for watching, guys. If you found that video helpful, be sure to click on the scorpion icon to subscribe and hit that bell for notifications. You could also check out some related guides by clicking on the videos on screen, and you could find links in the description for other social media links of mine. Stay tuned for more Halo guides, and I'll see you in the next one.